First at 4, an undercover operation turns violent as a Michigan State police trooper is shot. His fellow officers asking for your prayers this afternoon. We have the latest. Also, we're tracking Hurricane Ian. Wind and rain are already hitting Key West. More on the current conditions, the storm's path, and evacuations. Paul.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Karen, we are tracking Ian, and something is happening on this satellite imagery that's very important in terms of the storm structure. We'll talk about that and, of course, our own forecast, which is a very much improved forecast. You'll love the weekend ahead. We'll talk about it coming up.
It's called a water festival, but the real fun is actually in learning.
I've always thought in waters like these, there's probably alligators.
I'll take you to the Detroit River Water Festival. Alligators not included.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, we know the drill, but it is stressful every single time. Thousands of people trying to get out of the line of fire as Hurricane Ian targets Florida's Gulf Coast. Here's a live look at Florida's Alligator Alley. You can see traffic is heading east away from the Gulf. Now, luckily, it's not too crowded right now. Ian is a Category 3, while the danger is about 1,100 miles away. Many of us have friends and family there, or oftentimes we visit that area from time to time. Lots of concern. The storm's impact is already being felt in South Florida. We have this video of wind and rain whipping through the streets of Key West. That part of Florida should not receive a direct hit. That's expected further up the peninsula. Pam Osborne with more on where the storm has already been. Pam.
Karen, Hurricane Ian is swirling north after lashing western Cuba this morning. We're already seeing some of the damage that the storm has left behind. Some of the first pictures include this damage to a tobacco farm in Cuba. We're told the late Fidel Castro used to get his cigars from the farm, which was blasted by the storm. Ian hit Cuba with sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. The country evacuated about 50,000 people. Nearly 1 million have lost power. Up to 16 inches of rain could fall there, leading to mudslides or flash floods. In Florida, residents are in that critical time period where they put up their best defenses, hoping sandbags and plywood might offer some protection against the storm. Ian could get more powerful and seems to be targeting the area just south of Tampa. About 2.5 million people are under evacuation orders right now. President Biden is monitoring the situation, and FEMA officials say the storm's impact will be immense.
So the main message I have for everyone in Florida is that this is going to impact everyone in different ways. So you need to stay focused.
Your safety is more important than anything. And I know our hearts are with everyone who will feel the effects of this storm, and we'll be with you every step of the way. We're not going away.
Karen will also be covering this story every step of the way. FEMA officials say one of their biggest concerns right now is complacency, because this part of the Gulf hasn't had a major storm, a direct hit rather, in about 100 years. So they're hoping that everyone heeds the warnings right now. I'll see you back tonight at 5, but for now I'll send things back to you in the studio, Karen.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, Pam. Right now, meteorologist Paul Gross standing by with the very latest on the storm's path. Paul.
Yeah, hi, Karen. And something very important is happening on this satellite imagery. Watch the eye here as it comes off of Cuba here. The eye is shrinking. And when the eye gets smaller and smaller, that has to have a corresponding increase in wind speed. It's called the conservation of angular momentum. It's the same thing that causes a figure skater. They start out a spin like this, and as they bring their leg and their arms in, they spin faster. Same thing here. As that eye contracts, the wind speeds increase. I think we're seeing strengthening right before our eyes with this hurricane. Right now, as of the 4 p.m. advisory, 120 mile per hour wind. It's a Category 3 on the scale, so this is a major hurricane. So let's talk about the wind field. This is what everybody talks about, is the wind. So the red is hurricane force wind, the orange is tropical storm force, tropical depression wind. So basically, we're watching tropical storm force wind. So that's basically 40 to 70 mile per hour wind reaching the coastline first thing tomorrow morning, and then hurricane force wind coming in during the afternoon. Looks like the area between Fort Myers and Tampa is going to be most directly hit and then weakening, but still tropical storm force winds as it heads inland. I have a lot more to show you on the storm coming up in just a little bit, Karen.
All right, thank you, Paul. The storm's already having a big impact on tourists as well. The Busch Gardens theme park in Tampa will be closed tomorrow and Thursday. Most of Disney's world parks remain open, but call ahead. Some properties like Disney's Fort Wilderness and Campground are closed tomorrow through Friday. Tampa's airport will shut down in less than an hour tonight at 5. You'll be hearing from some of the last travelers who made it back to Detroit, trying to beat that deadline and avoid the storm. Meteorologist Kim Adams is in Tampa, Florida right now. She will start her live reports tonight at 6 and also at 5. We sure hope you will join us for her reports then. Meantime, we're also tracking the investigation surrounding the shooting of a Michigan State police trooper. He survived, but he is in the hospital right now. The shooting happened about 1:30 in the morning on Riverview Street, which is near Telegraph and I-96. Police say the officer was working undercover, tracking someone suspected of dealing narcotics. Police say the target of that investigation fired at the officer from an apartment building. The area was locked down later. MSP tracked a car to the Romulus area and then took 2 people into custody. The state police tweeted this update, writing, quote, "The trooper involved in this morning's shooting has been upgraded to stable condition, but he has a long way to go. If you have a moment, please say a prayer for him and his family." Our Sean Lay is talking to police about the investigation, talking to neighbors who were impacted, also trying to learn more about the suspects. So you can catch his live update when you join us tonight at 5. The Detroit City Council once again postponed a vote on the controversial expansion of shot spotter technology. Dozens of residents showed up to have their say. The technology detects gunfire and alerts police. Critics say it's been ineffective in other cities. Supporters say it's a tool to stop gun violence. Others are concerned the funding comes from COVID relief money. For now, a pilot program is in place, but the larger expansion remains up in the air. A lot of folks in Romulus are probably talking about this fire over at a strip mall. It happened this morning at Wayne and Wick Roads. Our crews didn't see any flames, but we saw smoke billowing out of the building. We're told a nail salon and hair salon both suffered damage. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Right now, the cause of that fire remains under investigation. The Detroit River is definitely one of our greatest local treasures, and today it was turned into a classroom. The Detroit River Water Festival is making its post-pandemic comeback. Paula Tutman was there for some new lessons about nature and the environment.
You know, a lot of these kids have been to Belle Isle, but they haven't been to Belle Isle like this. In other words, they're not only hearing things differently, but for many of them, more importantly, they're seeing things differently.
Hold it down, because if you let it go, watch what happens when you let it go.
A day of wonder and wander as students from across Detroit converged on the shores of Belle Isle to learn about the stuff you don't always immediately realize might be around you.
Which one does it look more like?
The Detroit River Water Festival, put on by Friends of the Detroit River and various corporate partners, is an exhibition in learning.
The goal for our water festival is to educate the students on clean, fresh water and the importance of that in our daily lives, in the environment, in the economy.
What do you think about Lake Michigan? Where's that one at? It's in between the state of Michigan and Wisconsin.
So there are children who've never been to Belle Isle and many who have been, but they weren't really sure what they were looking at, like Nyla.
I've always thought in waters like these, there's probably alligators or some type of sort.
The idea, once you know what you have at your fingertips, you will be more interested and better able to love, honor, respect, and protect.
I learned that there are a lot of different species in the water besides just frogs or turtles and stuff like that.
For Zach and Hussam, what they were seeing was really eye-opening.
So I found something that kind of looked like a spider. It was a bug in the water we got with the net. Yeah, but it was a little bit different, Hussam is saying.
Pass these around. These are the weights that go at the bottom of the line.
You're seeing stuff up close. You get to see animals up close.
So you get to know more about what's around instead of just walking by it, yeah?
Yeah, we get to learn more. We get to learn everything here. It's really fun. It's really fun. Yes, and it's really cool. It looks cool, Zachary.
The island is an ideal classroom. There are so many life forms, habitats, and yes, examples where humans have a negative impact on the environment. But this focus for elementary and middle schoolers is really about the power of knowledge and the power of children who will grow up to be adults who can do something about the way things are now. Paula Tutman, Local 4.
What a cool out of the classroom lesson. Thanks, Paula. By the way, here's something interesting the students learned. They learned that the importance of various licenses, like fishing licenses, are not to restrict fun, but to actually protect our environment.